watched in awe how brave Czechs rose against oppression and persecution. My father passed in 2014. Today, my friends, he would be so moved and so proud by what we have built together. 27 member states with more than 450 million people, all of them living peacefully together in one European Union. And the European People's Party, the EPP, has pioneered this European dream from its very inception. And I think, my friends, we can be very grateful for that, and we can be very proud of that. We, the EPP, have always stood for the values that unite us. We, my friends, the EPP, believe in the rule of law and in the respect of human rights. We believe that people should live in peace and freedom. We believe in the social market economy. We believe that access to health care and education is not a privilege of a few. It is a right for all. We believe that our children should be safe running free in fields and forests, on playgrounds and football pitches, as we did. They deserve that we care for a healthy future with a healthy environment, whether they grow up in the biggest city or the smallest village. And above all, my friends, we believe in the dignity of every human being. And this is my belief as a Christian Democrat. And my friends, this is who we are. And this is what we will fight for in this election. And this will be more important than ever. The world is as dangerous as it has been for generations. Russia's aggression tried to wipe Ukraine off the face of earth. The war is now in its third year and is more entrenched and intense than ever. We're seeing the potency and the dangers of a rising and disturbing league of dictators, the war in Gaza, and the destabilization of the Middle East. We see China and others, aggressive economic competition and distortion. And here at home, Putin's friends are trying to rewrite our history and hijack our future. They are spreading hate from behind their keyboards. And let there be no doubt what's at stake in these elections. Our peaceful and united Europe is being challenged like never before by populists, by nationalists, by demagogues, whether it's the far right or it's the far left, whether it is the AfD or the Rassemblement National, the Konfederacja or Возрождение. The names may be different, but the goal is the same. They want to trample on our values, and they want to destroy our Europe. And we, the EPP, will never let that happen. So this is a defining moment. The signal of Bucharest today is that EPP is standing for Europe, strong and secure, peaceful and prosperous, democratic and united. We stand pro-EU, pro-Ukraine, pro-rule of law, in the spirit of de Gasperi and Adenauer, of Václav Havel and Lech Walesa. There's a beautiful saying from Konrad Adenauer, who said, European unity was a dream of a few. It became a hope for many. Today, it is a necessity for all of us. And this is still true today. Just look at the last 5 years. When Europe is united, we can move mountains. And here I want to say a special thank you for our EPP group in the European Parliament under your leadership, Manfred, the largest group and the most united group. Many thanks for your excellent work. When we're united, we can overcome mountains. Together, we overcame a global pandemic. Citizens in every member state, large or small, got their vaccines at the same time and their fair share. And many thought it is impossible, but we did it. Together, we pulled our economy back from the brink of recession and put it on the path of recovery with Next Generation EU. Many thought this was impossible, but we did it. Together, we are fighting climate change and coming to the support of those hit by devastating floods and droughts and fires. We did it, and this is European solidarity. Together, we have delivered on the pact of migration and asylum. We strengthened the European borders, and we will continue to do so. And my friends, to be very clear, we have fulfilled our international obligations in the past. We do it today, and we will do it in the future. But it is us, the Europeans, who decide who comes to Europe and under what circumstances, and not the organized crime of smugglers and traffickers. My friends, this is what leadership looks like. This is the Europe that respects tradition and that knows that not every decision needs to be taken at the European level. But this is also the Europe that stands strong together when joint European action is needed. This is the Europe that delivers on what people care about. And this is what the EPP will stand for in this election. Take the examples. We are proud of Donald Tusk for bringing the rule of law back to Poland. We are so proud of Kyriakos Mitsotakis for having turned Greece around to the road of success. We are so proud of Andrej Plenković for bringing Croatia to the euro and Schengen. We're so proud of Evi Kasilina for the unwavering support for Ukraine. We're so proud of Ingrida Simonaite for fighting against Lukashenko's instrumentalization of migration. We are so proud of Klaus Johannes for his long-standing leadership in Romania, his support to Moldova, and simply for being a great European. We're so proud of Karl Nehammer for tackling illegal migration and strengthening Europe's external borders. We are so proud of Leo Varadkar for his commitment on equality, full employment, and infrastructure investment. We are so proud of Petteri Orpo for leading Finland into NATO. We are so proud of Nikos Christodoulides for his leadership in increasing humanitarian support to Gaza and bringing economic growth to Cyprus. We're so proud of Ulf Kristersson for tackling crime and championing a clean and competitive Swedish economy. We are so proud of Luc Frieden for introducing business-friendly economic policies again. And we're so proud of Roberta Metsola for skillfully leading the European Parliament, my friend Roberta. This is EPP leadership. We are the party of the people, and we deliver on what people care about. My friends, prosperity, security, democracy. This is what people care about in these difficult times. And this is what EPP will stand for in this election, also thanks to our common manifesto. And of course, I can understand that many people are worried about the future. I am also concerned. And at kitchen tables all over Europe, mothers and fathers wonder, will I be able to give my children a fair chance in life? Will I manage to look after my aging parents? I know these concerns. But at the same time, I am confident. And I am confident because had anyone told me that in the last 5 years we would face a global pandemic, a war on European soil, and the worst energy crisis in over 40 years, no one would have ever believed that we would emerge stronger. But we did it. We have proven remarkable resilience time and again, because the single market is our safe harbor, and the social market economy is our hallmark. It works for the people, whether they want a secure job or they want to have a family, if they're saving for a house or renting an apartment, or they want to study in a different city. Our message as EPP is clear, my friends. In times of change, Europe has your back. That is our message. But we have to strengthen our competitiveness in times of transition. We were the first to design the European Green Deal into an economic, social, and industrial one. And this has given a clear sense of direction for investment and innovation. Just take energy. We have resisted Putin's blackmail with his dirty coal, oil, and gas. We got rid of this dependency. We are massively investing in clean energy. For the first time, we produced more electricity from wind and sun in Europe than from gas. This creates good jobs here at home, drives prices down, and cleans up pollution, and it gives us energy security. And different to others, we stand for pragmatic solutions, not for ideological ones. Because we in EPP, we know that there is no competitive economy without climate protection. And there's no climate protection without a competitive economy. And therefore, my friends, from wind to clean steel, from hydrogen to batteries, we will make sure that the future of clean tech industry is made here in Europe. That is our promise as EPP. And my friends, we have to make business easier. We have to trust our companies to get on with what they are good at. That means less red tape, less reporting, simpler and faster procedure. This means paying a special attention to our SMEs, who are the backbone of our social market economy. And this is an EPP hallmark. Give companies the freedom to innovate and to create good jobs. And this is also true for the farmers and for rural areas. Farmers are telling me about the enormous challenges they face. They get up early in the morning, they work hard for the quality food we eat, but costs are going up. The prices they get for milk, meat, and grain are volatile and often set by others in the food chain. Last month, a young farmer told me that they are sometimes forced to sell their products below production costs. This is completely unacceptable. Our food security depends on the security of our farmers' livelihoods. Therefore, the system must be put back on a sustainable footing. Their hard work has to pay off. And I want to be very clear. EPP will always be on the side of our farmers, my friends. This has to be our message. Now, dear friends, our collective prosperity rests on a foundation of security. And that brings me to my second point. When it comes to security, there's no more pressing issue than Ukraine. I was in Bucha after it was liberated. I will never forget the body bags lined up. Innocent civilians, young women, old men killed by Putin's soldier. And I will never forget the desperate parents whose children have been abducted by Russia. Their tears, their fears, their agony. And as a mother and grandmother, my heart is bleeding to hear these stories. Putin is responsible. He is responsible for the death of Alexei Navalny. And it was breathtaking to see the courage of those who attended Navalny's funeral. One of the brave women said, Navalny sacrificed himself to save the country. Putin sacrificed the country to save himself. Putin is wanted for war crimes, and he will face justice. And there is a courtroom in The Hague waiting for him, my friends. There can be no doubt. Europe will stand by Ukraine for as long as it takes, with more financial support, more military support. Russia has destroyed houses, hospitals, and kindergartens, but they could not destroy the dream of a free and prosperous Ukraine that takes its place at the heart of the European Union. And today, my friends, this dream lives on, also in Moldova, in Georgia, and the Western Balkans. And together, we will turn this dream into reality. That is what EPP and that is what Europe stands for. Security in Europe also means doing more on our own defense. Our common goal should be very clear. We need to turbocharge our defense industrial capacity in the next 5 years. And at the heart of this must be one simple principle. Europe must spend more, Europe must spend better, and Europe must spend European. And this will help us fill the urgent need to rebuild, replenish, and modernize member states' armed forces, and to keep supporting Ukraine. And in doing so, Europe should strive to develop and manufacture the next generation of battle-winning operational capabilities. And my friends, the EPP is the party that has championed a Europe that can defend itself. And we will be the party that delivers on a defense union. And this topic needs undivided attention. And therefore, we need a designated defense commissioner for the next mandate. This is one of our EPP's deliverables. My friends, throughout our history, Europe has never had security or prosperity without democracy. And this is why previous generations sacrificed so much for freedom. The generations that defeated Nazism and overcame decades of dictatorship. The men and women that tore down the wall and ripped through the Iron Curtain. The popular movement of Solidarność. The people holding hands in the Baltic chain of freedom. The citizens of the Velvet Revolution. Every single nation has its own similar story to tell. And this is what makes up the great story of our European Union. This is what my father told us around the kitchen table. This is what I tell my children. And this is the very story we must tell over and over again in the coming months. This is what we are standing for. Democracy, prosperity, security. We cannot have one without the others. We in the EPP are ready to face the challenge with confidence and with leadership. And my friends, for me it's an honor to stand here to ask you for your trust and your support. And it is the honor of a lifetime to serve our Europe. Let's fight for Europe. Long live Europe. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Delegates. Delegates, friends, as you know, voting opened at 10:15. It is 11:11. We have until 11:45. I encourage you all to vote, to cast your votes efficiently and responsibly. The voting area is just right there. Again, the voting is open until 11:45. Now it's my pleasure to introduce the first of our Deputy Prime Ministers that will address our Congress, the Deputy Prime Minister of Czechia, Marian Jurečka.
Dear Manfred, dear Ursula, dear friends, my greetings to all of you on behalf of the Czech Christian Democrats. It's my great pleasure to be here today and share a few words. We find ourselves at a pivotal moment. Soon, we are set to engage in the European Parliament elections, a testament to our collective force as the strongest political family in the EU. Our success in securing leadership position brings me to a fundamental question. How shall we leverage our influence in the upcoming term to promote real change? This year, the Czech Republic celebrates 20 years of membership in the European Union. Being part of this community is the best possible outcome for us. However, we must also confront the reality that despite its success, the European project requires diligent refinement and improvement. It falls upon us to address this imperfection with resolve. The recent years have starkly reminded us that the security and stability we have come to expect are not guaranteed. The challenges posed by migration, along with the specter of mandatory quotas, have underlined the need for a robust and consistent European migration policy. Europe is fighting for its place among the leading economic powers and urgently needs a qualified workforce. The prolonged immigration process discourages highly qualified workers and puts the competitiveness of the EU at risk. The EU's lax return policy encourages unfitting applicants to exploit the European asylum system. It is imperative that we secure our external borders and foster a policy that is both transparent and flexible. On the other hand, we must respect the sovereignty of each member state. Demographic trends present another long-term challenge with significant implications for the future societal and economic landscape of Europe. We are tasked with preparing for an aging society. I see two key tasks ahead of us: making sure that our seniors can live a dignified life and adapting society to demographic changes. The population is aging and we will face a lack of staff in social services and healthcare. The importance of older people and their contribution to the economy and communities will keep growing. The EPP should be the political group that responds proactively to such changes. There are, however, many more pressing concerns, such as the issue of housing in Europe. The challenge faced by young families and individuals in securing affordable housing are substantial barriers to family formation and home ownership. It is essential that the next Commission gives priority to the reduction of administrative red tape to address this issue effectively. Ladies and gentlemen, the impact of our policies and decisions as members of the European People's Party extends far beyond the immediate. Our actions must aim to support and uplift all citizens of the European Union, fostering a society that not only thrives, but does so on the principles of fairness and respect to the environment. As the EPP, we have a unique opportunity to confirm our role as a decisive force in European politics in the upcoming elections. I thank you all for your attention and commitment to our shared ideals. Together, let us progress with dedication and a clear vision for a prosperous future for the European Union. Thank you.
We will now hear from Karin van Gennep, the Deputy Prime Minister of the Netherlands.
Mr. President, Excellencies, delegates, friends, it is a true privilege to be here with our EPP family and to build our common path to the future of Europe. And let me take this moment to say how proud I am that Ursula von der Leyen will be our leader for probably the most important European elections of our lifetime. And with Ursula, we continue our unconditional support for Ukraine,
We will strive for a more competitive and a more social Europe. And that is why you, Ursula, have the full support of the Dutch delegation. I also want to take this opportunity to thank Esther de Lange for bringing the EPP together in the last 17 years. Thank you, Esther. My dear friends, it's an honor to be here today with you in the beautiful city of Bucharest to discuss one of my key motivations in life, both as a Minister of Social Affairs and Employment and as a mother of 4 daughters. Creating equitable opportunities for everyone, or in other words, leaving no one behind. For me, standing here, that feels extra special, because this is also the party of my father Jos, the People's Party, that fights for social cohesion, inclusion and equality, perspective for our middle classes, a thriving SME community, and regions and cities to raise families in. I am proud of the cornerstones of Christian democracy. It is our party who fights for equitable opportunities, a social safety net, and a promise that hard work will be rewarded. Yes, our EPP party is leading by example, but we still have a way to go towards true equality. And I will give you some Dutch examples. We still have a long way to go when 40% of the working population do not have a fixed contract, 40. We still have a long way to go when people with a foreign-sounding name have 40% less chance to get invited to a job interview. And we still have a long way to go when 40% of our students choose to stay at home, postponing their lives because they cannot find a house. And finally, a famous one, equal pay day for women, this year again on the 15th of November, not one day of progress. Former Dutch Prime Minister Jan-Peter Balkenende warns us in his latest book that there is an increasing risk of inequality and a growing discrepancy between those who can reach for their dreams and those who don't get a chance, the cans and the cannots. Structural inequalities and strong dividing lines within our societies put pressure on social cohesion. And that affects us all, without exception, while we are facing enormous challenges. Geopolitical instability has never been so alarming. Ukraine, Middle East, US elections. Climate change. Which planet do we pass on to our children? People on the move. Let's get a real grip on migration. And yes, AI will provide many benefits, but let's make it a just transition. And we can only deal with all of those challenges if we have stable and cohesive societies. Dear EPP friends, many people feel that their voice is not being heard, that their concerns are not part of our equation. And over the past 2 days, I got a lot of questions about Dutch politics. We see that populist parties are getting more and more votes. But let me be loud and clear. We will not take part in a government with populist parties who exacerbate differences between people. Yeah. We will never put our Christian democratic values at stake, nor our rule of law. We will never negotiate about our unconditional support for Ukraine. Not today, and not in the future. But we do need to take each and every vote serious. The concerns of our citizens, the dreams of our children. It is our job to create an agenda of hope, of inspiration. And that is what my CDA is doing under the leadership of Henry Bontebal. united, building our societies together. My friends, I strongly believe that Europe will only do well when everyone prospers. And that is why we together are the European People's Party. We do not leave anyone behind. Thank you very much.
We will now hear from Vincent van Petegem, the Deputy Prime Minister of Belgium.
Dear Manfred, dear Ursula, dear friends, a little more than 2 years ago, Russia started its brutal invasion in Ukraine. And since then, Russia has been committing war crimes, bombing schools and hospitals, making people homeless. Since then, Ukrainians have been taking up weapons. And after those 2 years, the war is far from over. More than ever, we must stand united with the Ukrainian people. We must keep sending the help they ask, the help they need. We must continue to combat Russian aggression with solidarity and support for Ukraine and their people, because the future of Europe depends on it. And as EPP, our message is clear. We continue to stand with Ukraine. But for us, equally important is that it shall never be at the expense of our own welfare state and our own citizens. Because after 2 years, the war on our European territory is more than ever touching the lives of our European households. And therefore, as European political leaders, we have a twofold task. First and foremost, we must do everything in our power to halt the Russian aggression. And secondly, we must equally pay attention to our own citizens, because it's those citizens that work hard every day, that pay their taxes honestly and promptly. It's those citizens that support our welfare state. It's those citizens taking up responsibility in our societies. And it is this sense of responsibility that unites all of us here in this room. We are the European People's Party. We come up with solutions. We do not play with the future of our citizens, our families, our children, our farmers. We make our welfare states more sustainable by reforming our economies and societies, by making them fit for the challenges we face. And as EPP, we of course recognize the need to further invest in defense. We fully support our Ukrainian ally. Even more, with the potential re-election of Mr. Trump, we recognize the need to step up our game, but never at the expense of our own welfare state. Dear friends, we as EPP, we will not let us guide by the false dilemma of either defense commitments or a strong welfare state. It's not either security or social welfare. But if we want higher defense investments and a sustainable welfare state, then it's important that we need to reform our welfare state, even if those reforms might be tough and difficult. We need to reform our labor markets. We need to reform our tax systems and pension systems. Those reforms will be hard and will require perseverance and leadership from our side. But this is the only way to uphold our welfare state while also continuing to make room for investments in our securities and all other challenges we face. Dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, we, the European People's Party, we need to stand up for our citizens, not by presenting vague dreams, but by coming up with solutions, real solutions. That's what we have been doing over the past years. And that is also what we will do in the future. With Ursula as our lead figure, we will be able to convince people Ursula is the candidate, fighting with concrete answers, with realistic solutions. Let's show the peoples we're worth this fight. Thank you very much.
We will now hear from Maria Gabriel, the Deputy Prime Minister of Bulgaria.
Dear Manfred, dear Ursula, dear colleagues, dear friends, I'm honored to be with you at this crucial time. And I would like to start with words of special gratitude. Thank you, dear Manfred. Thank you for your unwavering and strong support for Bulgaria and GERB, even during our most difficult times that we faced internally in the last few years. Special words of appreciation also to the President of the European Commission. Dear Ursula, thank you very much for your great support for the key political priorities of Bulgaria: Schengen, Eurozone, Recovery and Resilience Facility Plan. Thank you for our joint efforts in making 2023 a significant year, marking Bulgaria's accession to the Schengen area, lifting sea and air borders. Thank you, dear Prime Ministers and leaders from our fellow parties in the EPP, for the constant and strong support for Bulgaria. I would also like to thank the President of GERB, Boyko Borisov, for his leadership, courage and wisdom. Because after more than 2 years of political instability in Bulgaria, again, Bulgaria is active and reliable partner in the EU and NATO, and will do our best so that Bulgaria makes an important contribution for strengthening the European Union and NATO in this very complex geopolitical situation. Our ambition is to see Bulgaria playing a role of factor of stability for Southeastern Europe and be a regional innovation hub, because GERB is EPP, and for us stability and innovation are key. And Bulgaria has a strategic role to play on issues that are crucial for EPP: the support for Ukraine, the strategic importance of the Black Sea region, protecting our borders against illegal migration, enlargement, innovation, energy security, cultural richness. The world is changing in a rapid speed. The pace of the geopolitical change is dramatic, and our ability to react to regional and global events will determine our success. When it comes to overcoming political challenges, at the core of our approach should stay, as always, the protection and promotion of fundamental principles and democratic values. We stand for a strong democracy based on the rule of law, justice, freedom, solidarity. On security, we'll continue our unwavering support for Ukraine. It was already said, but Ukraine defends our freedom and our European values. My party, GERB, has always condemned the Russian aggression against Ukraine. It is of paramount importance that we remain committed and united in Bulgaria and within EPP in our support for Ukraine as long as it takes. With a strong defense industry base, Bulgaria supports the creation of a single market for defense, the enhancement of the European strategic autonomy, the cross-border military transport. Corridor 8 is important, Antonio. Cyber defense and security of space are also crucial. And linked to that, I would like also to say, with my experience as foreign minister now, that the coherent European foreign policy needs to be finally determined. This year marks 20th anniversary since Bulgaria joined NATO. Russian aggression against Ukraine highlighted the strategic importance of the Black Sea. More than ever, we need close coordination with our NATO allies to maintain security and stability in the region. On migration, Bulgaria plays a key role in protecting the European external borders and has a strong border management system in place. As soon as Bulgaria and Romania join the Schengen area by land borders, already fully merited, we'll have more chances to answer to the instrumentalization of the topic of migration as a hybrid war strategy. And Bulgaria can also play here an important role in this regard for the EU-Turkey partnership. On enlargement, Bulgaria supports Ukraine, Moldova, and Georgia, but I would also like to insist on the importance of Western Balkans. Yes, on the basis of the own merit principle, the good neighborly relations, the respect of rule of law, the protection of human rights. Their place is in Europe, and Bulgaria will continue to support their European integration. Allow me to touch a word on innovation. That's not a surprise for you. We must make our economy fit for new challenges, and for that we need innovation. Work with creative researchers, more women-led startups, invest in European talents and champions, connect the regional innovation valleys, lead in artificial intelligence or strategic areas like health and energy, promote a vibrant business environment. On this topic, Bulgaria will actively participate in every EPP and European effort. Energy security. We all have seen what happened with the Russian war of aggression in Ukraine. We should invest more in electricity and gas network. We should invest more in regional connectivity. And in that regard, the role of Bulgaria, Greece, and Romania for the development of North-South axis is crucial. Reducing dependencies and diversification are key. And we support a common European resource strategy and advocate for a technology-neutral approach to developing hydrogen technologies. Finally, not a surprise, I hope, I want to insist on cultural heritage and cultural and creative sectors. Culture unites us. Culture is our DNA. It's highly time to invest more and create the European Cultural Heritage Fund. Access to cultural content and the support for cultural and creative industries and sectors are ways to tackle current challenges that we need to explore and to unlock their potential. So yes, in the EPP, in GERB, we have a clear vision of what Europe should look like. We want more unity, security, and prosperity. And to get there, we need values and leadership. And both values and leadership is what we have in the European People's Party. Dear friends, I'm confident that the EPP will remain the strongest force in the next European Parliament at the upcoming European elections. In this regard, I strongly support the nomination of Ursula von der Leyen as the EPP lead candidate for President of the European Commission. Ursula, you already have shown over the past years that you are a true leader who is respected in the world and who has given the EU a strong voice. Your leadership throughout the pandemic and the Russian war against Ukraine has been remarkable. And I'm convinced that with your experience and determination, you are the best candidate to lead the European Union also in the next 5 years to come. Thank you very much for your attention.
Ladies and gentlemen, delegates, a reminder that the vote will be closing in 5 minutes. And for the final speech by EU Deputy Prime Ministers, I would like to invite to the stage Antonio Tajani, the Deputy Prime Minister of Italy.
Good morning, everybody. I am proud to be here because the European People Party is my family. Thank you very much, Manfred. Thank you very much, Ursula, for your engagement. Forza Italia will support you during this election campaign because we want to achieve the victory during the next European elections. We want to be the most important party in Europe after the vote on the 9th of June. We want to be protagonists for building a strongest Europe. We want to be protagonists everywhere. We need more Europe, as I said yesterday, in the Western Balkans. We need more Europe in the Middle East. We need more Europe in the Red Sea. We need more Europe in Africa. But we need to have a strategy, an European strategy. And for this it's important to put on the table our ideas, our proposal. Our manifesto is not only a manifesto for this Congress. It's a strategy for the future. It's a strategy for the new presidency of the European Commission, of the European Parliament, and the European Council. First of all, dear Ursula, I want to underline one point. For my party, and for me, and for Italy, the real economy is crucial. We need to protect industry and agriculture. Without industry and without agriculture, we don't have jobs for our young generation, for the future. For this also our engagement against climate change. I am strongly engaged on this, but I am not a follower of the religion of Greta Thunberg and the Commissioner Timmermans. I am pragmatic. My vision is completely different. We need to be pragmatic. It's possible to pave the way for a better future supporting industry and agriculture. It's a big mistake to kill industry and agriculture in this time. We need to talk with the farmers and with the small and medium-sized companies. For me, for my party, this is a priority. For this is important, our manifesto. Real economy is crucial for the EPP. For this, we want to work during this election campaign for supporting this position. I am very happy also for the speech of Ursula. It's the first time for me after the death of Silvio Berlusconi. Now I am speaker as leader of my party. And I am proud, as I said, to be part of this family. And during the Congress of Forza Italia, I want to thank you for your participation. I underline the importance to open the door of Forza Italia for all the friends of the EPP in Italy. Our lists are open for everybody supporting EPP. For this, we want to achieve the victory. We want to have more and more members of the European Parliament. Of course, economy is very important. I totally agree, we totally agree with Ursula on the new Commissioner for Defense. I believe in European defense. Without European defense, Europe is not important in the world. This choice is not against NATO. It's for strengthening NATO, for having more Europe among NATO. This is important. Without a defense, it's impossible to have a foreign policy. For this, it's important also to work hard for strengthening our foreign policy. It's possible to do more. It's possible to do more in foreign policy. But defense, foreign policy, environment, agriculture, industry are very important for us. But we are Christian Democrats. For this is important to strengthen also our values. It's not the same to be part of the EPP and to be part of the Socialist Party. We need to underline our identity. This is crucial. Our model of life is not the same. For this, we need to be very clear with our supporters. We are defending our values because a society without values is a society dead. It's our job, this. And I am very unhappy looking at a picture on the Olympic Games in Paris. Et je vais le dire en langue française. Ce n'est pas une bonne idée d'effacer la croix des invalides. Ce n'est pas une bonne idée d'effacer notre histoire et notre identité pour envoyer un message aux autres. Mais aucun musulman, aucun juif aurait effacé son histoire. Parce que le respect, si nous ne respectons pas nous-mêmes, les autres jamais respecteront les Européens. Ce n'est pas laïcité, c'est stupidité. La laïcité, c'est autre chose. Moi, je crois en la laïcité. Mais la laïcité, ce n'est pas effacer l'histoire, ce n'est pas effacer l'identité. Personne n'est obligé à dire « je suis chrétien ». Nous sommes chrétiens. Parce que notre parti est un parti chrétien-démocrate, démocrate-chrétien. On ne peut pas renoncer à notre identité. Voilà pourquoi je suis vraiment déçu pour cette image. J'espère qu'ils vont changer les choses en France. Parce que, comme je l'ai dit, on ne peut pas changer l'histoire. La croix est là, on ne peut pas l'effacer dans une photo. Ce n'est pas la photo qui change l'histoire de la France, l'histoire de l'Europe. For this, I believe in the EPP. I believe in the EPP because the EPP is a strong party with a lot of values. This is very important. I believe in our model of life, Manfred. For this, I want to thank our party because it's fighting for this. And all together, we will achieve the victory in the next European election. We will have Ursula von der Leyen for another time President of the European Commission. We will have, I believe, in Roberta Metsola, new President of the European Parliament. And then we need to have also other important jobs for our party. Good luck, EPP. Good luck, Ursula. Thank you very much, Manfred, for your work. Thank you to all our friends in the presidency. Good luck. I believe in you. I believe in the EPP because my future is the future of my family. Thank you very much.
Dear delegates, voting ended just about a minute ago, and the counting procedure will begin immediately. We now move to the addresses of our heads of state and government, our distinguished leaders that are here on the stage today, representing the strength, unity, and power of a political family, as well as the EPP's dedication to our citizens. I'm so pleased to introduce my friend, the President of Kokoomus and Prime Minister of Finland, Petteri Orpo.
Dear EPP family, dear friends, it's great to gather here in Bucharest. I see Ursula and Manfred here, Roberta, many good colleagues and friends. But Ulf, my Swedish colleague, are you here? No, he's not here. Do you know why he's not here today? Ulf is here not because he's making Sweden a member of NATO at this moment in Washington, D.C. Finally. Imagine Finland and Sweden in NATO. 3 years ago, this was only our dream. Today, the Baltic Sea is a NATO lake. My friends, do you know what we are? We are the strongest political force in Europe. And do you know what we are going to be after these elections? We are going to be the strongest political force in Europe. And to me, EPP is a political force that can do what Europe needs. The war in Ukraine highlights the fact how important is our own defense, resilience, and competitiveness. The EPP can do this, I'm sure. But where is Europe today? We don't have enough competitiveness in our economy. We don't have enough capacity to defend our continent. In order to do this, we must make our economy stronger. If we have competitive economy and well-functioning single market, we have stronger Europe. If we have competitive economy and strong defense industry, when we will succeed and we can answer the real threat, which is the threat of Russia. We need to wake up and realize this. We are the only political force in Europe that can do what must be done. The citizens expect this from us. Now we have a clear program for Europeans, and we will win the elections. My friends, next few words about Kokoomus and Finland. We are leading political force in Finland. Last year, we won the parliamentary elections and formed the government. And last month, our candidate, Alexander Stubb, won the presidential elections. We all know Alex. Let's give big applause to him. And next, we are going to nominate a commissioner from EPP. We have succeeded in Finland because we have been pragmatic and we have won the trust of the people. We live in a time where the economy and security matter the most. We are conducting ambitious reforms in Finland. We are reforming the labor market and public finances. After socialist government, we have a lot to do, you understand. But friends, we have over 1,300 kilometers of border with Russia. So we have a long border, but it's still better than no border at all. Dear friends, Russia has organized a hybrid attack against Finland via instrumentalizing migration on our eastern border. This is also the EU and NATO external border. Simply put, Russia has decided to push third country nationals towards our border. They want to destabilize Finland and the EU. Our response has been decisive. We have closed our eastern border and we are preparing new legislation. Once again, we know that we must be prepared for all kinds of hostile action. We do not trust Russia. Russia is a permanent threat to Europe, to us. Today, Ukraine is fighting our war and defending our continent. We will support Ukraine for as long as it takes. Now it's time to wake up. We need to ramp our defense industry and defense capacity. Only with competitive economy we can afford this. We must build our competitiveness on functioning single market and clean energy. We need a technology-neutral approach. We need to use bioeconomy and circular economy. We need less and better regulation. We need less state aid and more single market. Dear friends, lastly on EPP. EPP is a leading political force in Europe. As a backbone of European center-right politics, EPP plays a crucial role in shaping policies that reflect our shared values of democracy, freedom, and market economy. The next Commission, I believe under Ursula's leadership, will go back to basics. We have to take care of our economies and our security, because without them, we can't reach any other goals. I believe that the EPP has what it takes to put Europe back on track. Thank you very much.
We will now hear from Luc Frieden, the Prime Minister of Luxembourg.
Dear Presidents Manfred, Ursula, Roberta, dear friends of the EPP family, the Luxembourg Christian Democrats, after 10 years in opposition, are back in government. And I believe that is the beginning of a wave of Christian Democratic successes, of EPP successes in the western and southern part of Europe, because we are a pro-European party, and that's also why we won the elections in Luxembourg. Above all, and Ursula mentioned that in her speech, she said that we led a business-friendly program for these elections. But let there be no mistake, business in itself and business friendliness in itself was not the goal. The goal was what is at the heart of Christian democratic policy, is to have a competitive economy which is there to finance a strong social policy and to finance a successful ecological and digital transition. And that was the program of the Christian Democrats in Luxembourg, and that is why we won the elections against those who governed Luxembourg during the past 10 years. And I think that is also the program of the EPP for the coming European elections. And I wholeheartedly support each and every sentence of your speech, dear Ursula, just minutes ago. The combination, the unique combination of democracy, security, and prosperity that you highlighted in your speech is what we believe in and what we stand for as EPP, and that is why I believe that we can score a very good result, both in my country and in many other European countries, in the upcoming so important European elections. In fact, we need to achieve two things. One is to have a strong European Union to the inside and a strong European Union to the outside world. Internally, to make sure that the single market functions. The single market, again, as an instrument which serves a political goal, an economic instrument that serves a political goal. And if Ursula was speaking about her kitchen table as a child, I was also at the kitchen table in Luxembourg, where my parents told me two things. One is that if the Germans and the French speak together and don't shoot at each other, we in Luxembourg, we are safe. And the second thing is that if we put, and that is what was born in Luxembourg by Robert Schuman, Konrad Adenauer, if we put coal and steel together, that will make sure that our industries work together, but for a purpose which is serving peace and prosperity. That was true in the 50s, when I was not yet born. That's why my parents told me, and it is true today. Because I never thought that I would be appointed Prime Minister at a time when there is a war in Europe. And that is why it is more important than ever that we speak together, that we promote reasonable policies, economic, social, and green policies, but all together, and that we work together for peace through prosperity. And that is the trademark of the social market policy for which Christian Democrats stand. That is why I'm a proud Prime Minister of a Christian Democratic-led government, and that is why I will fight for Ursula von der Leyen as the next President of the European Commission. Thank you.
There will now be a video address by Ulf Kristersson, the Prime Minister of Sweden.
Dear Manfred, dear Ursula, dear European friends, I hope you're all having a successful Congress in Bucharest today and I'm sorry not to be able to take part this year, especially in these crucial times. Less than 2 weeks ago, throughout Europe, we marked 2 years of Russia's brutal war against a peaceful neighbor. For 2 years, the Ukrainian people have defended not only their freedom, but also ours. Europe is united, and we must remain united behind Ukraine for as long as it takes. Ukraine must win this war. Sweden is now embarking on the very final steps on our journey towards NATO membership. Instead of giving in to Putin's demands for a Russian veto on other countries' security policy, NATO will be reinforced with 2 new members. After over 200 years of military non-alignment, Sweden will become an ally. We are joining NATO at a time when war is once again raging in Europe. At times like these, it is important to know who your friends and allies really are. Let me therefore take this opportunity to stress how thankful we are for all the support we have received from all of you in the EPP family throughout this process. Allow me also the opportunity to convey my thanks to Ursula for very good cooperation. In Sweden, we hope to continue this cooperation with you during the next Commission. You have the full support from the whole EPP family in Sweden. Thank you all very much.
Our next speaker will be Nikos Christodoulides, the President of Cyprus.
Dear friends, never has the European project, our union of 27 states that stand united in defense of common values and joint vision, been more valuable. Never have we needed a stronger, more resilient, more competitive union that is relevant in the daily lives of European citizens and is present as a strong global actor in the geopolitical arena. Today, we stand proudly at all that has been achieved in the past years. At the same time, we also stand before a critical juncture of our common home for the Union, and we look to the future. We have a responsibility to our children, to the generations to come, to lay the foundations and deliver an even stronger union within Europe and in the world. Dear colleagues, as a historian by training, I'm always prone to glance inquisitively at the past in order to draw lessons that will inform decisions for the future. If we look back to the last few years, it is fair to say that we couldn't foresee that a pandemic will be at our doorstep. And yet, we faced that challenge which had an immense impact on our economies and our way of life. In the face of this unforeseen, unprecedented challenge, the Union, in unity, rose to the challenge under Ursula's firm and able leadership, which proved to be absolutely key in not only addressing and overcoming the pandemic, but in emerging even stronger. The pandemic wasn't the only challenge we have had to face. My generation, dear friends, grew up believing that there was no fragility to the European peace project. And yet, on February 24th, we wake up to a new geopolitical reality with Ukraine, a sovereign European country invaded, its territorial integrity violated, international legality shattered. Cyprus, a victim of illegal invasion and half a century of continuous occupation, has stood in an unwavering and unequivocal manner on the right side of the history. And we stand and we will continue to stand with Ukraine and its people as they fight Russian aggression. Moreover, dear friends, we have also waken up to the reality that there are no frozen conflicts. The war that is ravaging the Middle East, in Europe's immediate neighborhood, at Cyprus' doorstep, is a tragic proof to that. The European Union cannot afford not to have a strong voice and a role on what is happening in the Middle East, not only because it is an integral part of the European Union as a strategic global actor, but also because what happens in the Middle East has a serious impact on Europe, from migration to security. The humanitarian tragedy in Gaza also demands our immediate urgent attention. Cyprus, as an integral part of the region, as the closest EU member state in the region, has worked tirelessly since the beginning of the war to design a humanitarian maritime corridor for the delivery of high volume of aid to the people in Gaza. And dear friends, I look forward to Ursula's visit to Cyprus tomorrow in the context of opening the maritime corridor. From the very first stages of the initiative, Ursula grasped the vision and value behind it and pulled her political weight and that of the Commission's behind it. Thank you very much, Ursula. Dear friends, the discussions we're having in Brussels about a stronger Europe, a more geopolitical and strategically autonomous union that is a global actor, is not theoretical. It must time and time again be proven in a concrete way. We must be able as a European Union to play an active role in dealing with all challenges. In order to materialize the European Union's geopolitical role, first and foremost, we must be able to rely on ourselves without always depending on external factors. Therefore, European Union strategic autonomy must not remain as an abstract idea, but rather a tangible objective to reach. And in this regard, building European defense at the Union level can be catalytic. Ursula has shown boldness and decisive leadership on this front as well, and the new industrial defense strategy announced earlier this week is an important step. Dear colleagues, beyond the external threat and challenges, Europe faces a multitude of internal ones. The rise of extremists, illiberal populists and anti-European Union forces threatens to reverse what we have achieved over the years. The only answer to this phenomenon is to build a better union for our citizens, a union of economic growth, job creation, competitiveness. It is up to us to stand firm and defend our values, the values that unite us, the values that differentiate us from our adversaries, the values that make us who we are. And as long as we defend our values, the EPP will remain the biggest political family in Europe and the driving force for Europe's future. Dear friends, the EPP has also consistently and prominently stood behind Cyprus in our efforts to reunify the country. I strongly believe that the European Union needs to be catalytic, unifying power for its last divided member state that 50 years after the Turkish invasion is still under occupation. In the coming months, I'm counting on the support of our extended political family and, of course, the European Union institutions' leadership in our efforts towards the speedy resumption of talks for achieving a comprehensive settlement for the solution of the Cyprus problem. In concluding, dear Ursula, true leaders are shown at challenging times, at times that require boldness, even audacity, and during your time you steered the ship in stormy waters, and you did it by building the Union up through unparalleled tenacity, hard work, and determination. We are very proud to be standing beside you for the next 5 years. Thank you very much.
Our next speaker will be Karl Nehammer, the Federal Chancellor of Austria.
Liebe EVP-Familie, Das Jahr 2024 ist tatsächlich ein besonderes Jahr für uns. Wir haben nicht nur nationale Wahlen in Österreich, wir haben die Wahlen zum Europäischen Parlament und vor 30 Jahren haben wir die Verhandlungen abgeschlossen für den EU-Beitritt Österreichs. Das war ein wichtiges Datum. Seitdem ist viel passiert und es wird tatsächlich unsere Aufgabe sein, den Menschen immer wieder zu sagen, dass es für Österreich, in Österreich, die beste Entscheidung war, die wir treffen konnten, der Europäischen Union beizutreten. Die EU verdient Applaus, durchaus. Es ist für mich auch ein sehr persönliches Datum. Warum? Mein Großvater hat beide Weltkriege überlebt. Mein anderer Großvater ist im Krieg gefallen, meine Mutter als Halbwaise aufgewachsen und der überlebende Großvater war geprägt durch Zeiten des Krieges und in weiterer Folge durch die Teilung Europas, durch den Eisernen Vorhang. Er ist dann Ende der 70er Jahre gestorben und er hätte niemals gedacht, dass es möglich sein wird, dass Deutschland sich wieder vereint, dass der Eiserne Vorhang, die Teilung Europas verschwindet und die Union friedlich wachsen kann. Das ist tatsächlich gelungen und das ist viel. Und Jahrzehnte des Friedens innerhalb der Europäischen Union ist tatsächlich etwas Besonderes. Und wir sollten, auch wenn wir viele andere Sorgen, Notwendigkeiten haben, heute über die Funktionalität der Union nachzudenken, niemals vergessen, dass die Europäische Union das erfolgreichste Friedensprojekt auf diesem Kontinent ist und das Abschlachten von Hunderten Millionen Menschen beendet hat. Und es ist heute schon erwähnt worden, es ist wieder und es herrscht wieder Krieg auf europäischem Boden. Die Russische Föderation hat die Ukraine überfallen und es war gut und richtig, dass die Europäische Union klar ist an der Seite der Menschen in der Ukraine. Wir müssen ihnen beistehen und wir werden ihnen beistehen. Österreich ist ein neutrales Land, aber Neutralität heißt nicht, keine Meinung oder gar keine Haltung zu haben. Der Krieg ist ein Verbrechen. Die Sanktionen notwendig und die Solidarität und Hilfe für die Ukraine eine Verpflichtung der Menschlichkeit. Aber in diesem Jahr 2024 steht tatsächlich viel auf dem Spiel und tatsächlich auch viel zur Wahl. Die Europäische Union ist in einer schwierigen Situation. Wir haben mächtige Konkurrenten, wenn wir an die globalisierte Welt denken, die USA, China, Lateinamerika. Und wir haben unsere Hausaufgaben zu machen. Wir müssen Nachschau halten, wo wir dieses Europa, diese Union besser machen können und müssen. Und wenn man sich auf der Welt bewegt, und auch mit vielen Menschen spricht, dann hört man immer wieder von den verschiedenen Erdteilen eine unterschiedliche Beurteilung der Europäischen Union. Da gibt es zum Beispiel den Spruch, die Vereinigten Staaten gelten als besonders innovativ, die Volksrepublik China als besonders produktiv und die Europäische Union besonders regulativ. Liebe Freundinnen und Freunde, wir haben die Aufgabe aus meiner Sicht gerade als Europäische Volkspartei, hier Hand anzulegen und zu deregulieren, Freiheit zu schaffen. Innovation und Forschung sind die Zukunft der Europäischen Union und keine Verbotspolitik. Wenn wir der internationalen Konkurrenz begegnen wollen, und das müssen wir, weil wir sind exportorientiert. Das heißt, unsere Produkte müssen irgendwo auf der Welt gekauft werden. Das heißt, sie müssen konkurrenzfähig produziert werden. Und heißt für uns als politisch Verantwortliche, wir müssen die Rahmenbedingungen setzen, dass auch weiterhin Industrie in der Europäischen Union stattfinden kann, dass Unternehmertum weiter in der Union stattfinden kann, dass die, die etwas unternehmen wollen, dass wir es auch ihnen lassen, etwas zu unternehmen, dass wir es zulassen und dass wir sie nicht mit Vorschriften und Regelungen knechten, sodass der Wirtschaftswachstum, Motor, der für die EU so wichtig ist, abgewürgt wird. Und auch bei dieser Wahl, da steht tatsächlich viel auf dem Spiel. Wir haben es in den Vorreden schon gehört. Wir sehen auch selbst, dass sich in der Union die Parteien radikalisieren, links wie rechts. Und die führen meistens nichts Gutes im Schild mit dieser, unserer Union. Das heißt, wir haben die Aufgabe, die Sorgen und Ängste der Menschen ernst zu nehmen. Wir müssen hinschauen, warum sie sich radikalen Partei zuwenden, was wir als Kraft der Mitte ihnen anbieten müssen, damit sie uns die Unterstützung geben und nicht den anderen. Aber wie kann das funktionieren? Durch glaubhafte Politik, durch Haltung zeigen, die Halt gibt und in wesentlichen Fragen die Sorgen und Ängste der Menschen ernst nehmen. Und wir müssen uns diesen Fragen stellen, wie zum Beispiel der Migration und da vor allem der illegalen Migration. Liebe Freundinnen und Freunde, wir brauchen einen Außengrenzschutz, der den Namen verdient. Und wenn mein finnischer Kollege davon spricht, dass Finnland bedroht ist von Seiten der Russischen Föderation durch illegale Migration, dann haben wir das ernst zu nehmen. Und wir haben die Bedrohungslagen aller unserer Außengrenzländer ernst zu nehmen und ihnen tatsächlich zu helfen. Und zwar mehrfach. Die Außengrenzstaaten brauchen ausreichend finanzielle Mittel, um den Außengrenzschutz zu finanzieren. Wir brauchen schnelle Asylverfahren, wir brauchen Asylverfahren in sicheren Drittstaaten. Und wir müssen dafür sorgen, dass die, die nicht bleiben dürfen in der Union, auch wieder rausgebracht werden aus der Union. Und wir haben noch eine Aufgabe. Der Krieg, der nicht nur jetzt auf europäischem Boden tobt, sondern auch im Nahen Osten. Wir müssen den Kampf gegen den Terrorismus ernst nehmen. Wir müssen den Kampf gegen die organisierte Kriminalität und gegen die Terroristen, gegen die Islamisten und die Radikalen, die unsere Demokratie und Freiheit bedrohen, ernst nehmen und aufnehmen. Sicherheit ist ein umfassendes Konzept und nur mit Sicherheit gibt es Demokratie und Freiheit. Und die Menschen haben Angst in einer Zeit wie dieser, denn sie sehen, was alles passiert. Und wir haben diesen Kampf für Sicherheit auch hier zu führen in der Union. Wir müssen wehrhaft werden. Wir müssen Demokratie wehrhaft machen. Wir müssen wieder verstärkt den Kampf gegen Antisemitismus führen, der auf europäischen Straßen viel zu sehr präsent ist. Es ist unsere historische Aufgabe zu zeigen, dass Antisemitismus hier keinen Platz hat, dass wir solidarisch sind mit Israel, dass wir die Sorgen und Ängste der Menschen ernst nehmen. Ja, auch der Palästinenser, die von der Hamas missbraucht werden. Aber wir als Europäische Union haben Haltung zu zeigen. Und wir als Volkspartei haben diese Haltung auch zu kommunizieren. Und wir müssen glaubhaft sein, wenn wir darüber nachdenken, welche Zukunft hat unsere Union. Wie groß wollen wir tatsächlich werden noch? Wem machen wir ein ernsthaftes Angebot, Teil unserer ideologischen Wertegemeinschaft, unserer europäischen ideologischen Wertegemeinschaft zu sein? Und wie vielen haben wir schon versprochen, das einmal zu werden? Liebe Freundinnen und Freunde, wie oft wurde hier von diesem Pult aus schon gesagt, wir müssen den Staaten des Westbalkans eine Perspektive geben. Hören wir auf, darüber zu sprechen, sondern handeln wir. Es ist gerade wichtig, auch für Bosnien-Herzegowina, diese Perspektive nicht nur zu hören, sondern sie tatsächlich auch zu erhalten. Wir müssen den Menschen am Westbalkan zeigen, dass sie Europa sind, dass nicht die Türkei, dass nicht China, dass nicht andere Einflussmächte für sie da sind, sondern dass wir als Europäische Union wissen, dass wir für sie sorgen müssen, dass sie einen Korridor brauchen in die Union und dass sie unsere Hilfe nicht nur verdienen, sondern dass sie ihnen vor allem auch zusteht. Für all das braucht es eine Bewegung, die bereit ist, Haltung zu zeigen, nicht nur über Werte spricht, sondern sie auch lebt. Und es braucht starke Persönlichkeiten an der Spitze, dass dies auch glaubhaft vermittelt wird. Lieber Manfred, liebe Ursula, ihr seid diejenigen, die jetzt vorangehen. Aber seid euch eines gewiss, wir sind an eurer Seite, wenn es darum geht, die Werte der Volkspartei in die Wahl zu tragen, wenn es darum geht, die Werte der Europäischen Volkspartei so zu erklären, dass die Menschen uns folgen. Ich wünsche euch für die bevorstehenden Wahlen alles, alles Gute.
We will now hear from Leo Varadkar, the Taoiseach of Ireland.
Gwyn Ursula, a Carja, is Mr. Leo Varadkar, Taoiseach agus Uachtaráin in the Gael, agus seo seachtain na Gaelga. Tá áthas orm bheith seo in Bucharest aniu, agus tá sé iontach a bheith le chéile arís. There's no need to adjust your translation. That is the Irish language, or in Gaelic, the way of saying it's great to join you again today. Irish is an official language of the European Union, and it's proof positive that the European Union is a place where national identities and diversity are protected and allowed to thrive. This is my fourth Congress as party president. I attended my first in Berlin as vice president of the youth of the European People's Party almost 25 years ago. Our party president at the time was John Bruton, who died earlier this year, and I want to thank all of you for your kind messages of condolence. He was a great European and a strong supporter of this great party. It's also great to be here as one of 12 heads of state or government, many more than we had at our last Congress. With the real possibility of a victory in Portugal next week, the EPP is rising again, and Donald's victory in Poland shows us that populists can be defeated. And now we must retain our place as the leading party in the European Parliament elections in June. Dear friends, I'd like to wish Ursula every success as she goes forward as our candidate to be President of the European Commission. Ursula, your leadership, your stewardship of the European Commission on COVID and Ukraine, on migration, on climate, on energy and on nature speaks for itself. We need you leading the Commission for the next 5 years. And I also want to thank you personally for your firm support for Ireland on Brexit and your willingness to make compromises and accommodations with our British friends when they were necessary. Dear friends, the challenges facing us have rarely been greater. We face big issues that require a big response. They transcend the capability of national governments. We need Europe, and Europe's work has never mattered more. And our values resonate now more than ever. Democracy, freedom, opportunity, enterprise, equality and fairness. I firmly believe that improved terms and conditions for workers go hand in hand with employment growth and help us to recruit and retain the skilled staff we need for the economy of the 21st century. In Ireland, we've made great strides in building a real social market economy, an EPP value, which says that work should pay and enterprise should be awarded. Sick pay, improved family leave, halving the cost of childcare and pension reform. These are some of the reforms we're introducing. And wages have never been higher, and we've never had more employment. Colleagues, the single market is one of the best achievements in Europe, but it's also an unfinished project with unfinished potential. We in the EPP can ensure that the EU does more over the next 5 years to promote growth, entrepreneurship and innovation, particularly among our SMEs, and also to unleash the potential of the single market and the capital markets union. That requires state intervention, but also restraint from the state, when needed to ensure there is a level playing field and proper competition. And our trade policy must encompass a fair deal for farmers, for fishers and for food producers. And the budget for the next Common Agricultural Policy needs to be a bigger one with a separate fund for nature. The EPP should always be the party for Europe's farmers. Colleagues, we live at a time of turmoil in our world. We were all horrified by the indiscriminate and brutal attacks by Hamas on the 7th of October. And we share the outrage of Israeli people over these attacks. There is no justification, no excuse, no context that made it anything other than a vicious crime and a terrible atrocity. We have seen since the appalling violence inflicted by the Israeli government on the people of Gaza. Palestinian civilians are not responsible for the crimes of Hamas and should not be subject to a collective punishment. We need a ceasefire so food and medicine can get into Gaza and the immediate release of all the hostages. We also need the European Union to engage in the fight for a permanent peace between Israel and Palestine and Arab countries. We as Europeans have a duty to try to bring this conflict to an end and bring peace to the Holy Land. For over 2 years, we have witnessed the brutal Russian assault on the people of Ukraine. Ireland is at the western edge of Europe, but we've opened our hearts and our doors to the people of Ukraine. I do not believe that Putin's ambitions will stop at Ukraine. This is our war too, and it's not just happening in Ukraine's territory. It's happening in our seas, in our cyberspace, and in the form of other attacks. As one of my forebears, Sean Lemass, said, a Europe worth building is a Europe worth defending, and we should do so by developing PESCO and European defence in particular, and also increasing our budgets for international development. The EPP's message from here must be that we stand by Ukraine for as long as it takes. And our message to Putin and the Kremlin is that Russia cannot win this war. And we will do more to help Ukraine in the coming months and years. And that involves military assistance, finance, humanitarian and political support. The people in Ukraine are fighting and sacrificing their lives for our European values, fighting for democracy, liberty and the rule of law. The least we can do is to provide them with the tools they need to defend their country and their homes, and to progress EU accession negotiations as quickly as we possibly can. We are the EPP. We stand for democracy, we stand for freedom, we stand by Ukraine, we stand for Europe. Thank you very much.
We will now hear from Andrej Plenković, the Prime Minister of Croatia.
Dear friends, dear Manfred, dear Nikolai, dear Klaus, dear Ursula. It's a great honor to address you today at the EPP Congress here in Bucharest. May I thank, on behalf of the HDZ and the Croatian delegation, our PNL friends for magnificently organizing this Congress that will lead us into the atmosphere of the campaign for the European Parliament's elections in June. The EPP family has demonstrated not only in the times of the foundation of the European Union that it knows how to show leadership, how to show solidarity, how to show prosperity. We have done that over the past 5 years in the most turbulent times in the last few decades. Namely, when Europe and the whole world and all of our nations were confronted with the COVID-19, the leadership of Ursula von der Leyen and the Commission proved to be essential at the times of the first ever Croatian presidency of the Council, that we work together and that we prevent the spread of this pandemic. Ursula, you have provided us with a big answer to the big problem when it came to the protection, when it came to the solidarity, and when it came to the procurement of the vaccine. And I want to thank you for that leadership. From the point of view of the newest and the latest member of the European Union, Croatia, the country that I represent, I can testify that the Commission, led by Ursula, has provided assistance when the assistance was needed. When our capital, Zagreb, was hit by a very, very big earthquake in the March of 2020, and our region of Sisak and Petrinja by another earthquake of 2020, Ursula and the Commission have given us immediate and quick assistance, and they have provided us with solidarity fund that we are using to rebuild our capital and to rebuild the houses and the buildings that were hit. I appreciate that, and I thank you on behalf of the Croatian people. The big answer to COVID gave us the EU Next Generation, which was an instrument that has enabled us to revive our economy. We were all facing a negative GDP in 2020, but with our national plans for recovery and reconstruction, we were helped to come back immediately to the positive trends. My country is a testimony how that can be done. The EU Next Generation goes to the amount of the 15% of Croatia's GDP. That has become an investment tool, it has become a tool for growth, and our growth has recovered, our agility has been strengthened, our resilience has been reinforced, and I want to say that we have a proof that such a policy functioned in the country where we needed it most. Thank you very much, Ursula, for that. In the speech, which was inspirational, that she gave to us, she played a game of associations with every and each leader which is here at the Congress. She linked Croatia and myself with the Schengen accession and the Eurozone accession. I have to say that we have done a very serious and diligent homework, but this homework would have been far more difficult to attain and to achieve had it not been for the strong support, for the political efforts, for expert support, and the general feeling of support of the EPP family and the Commission in particular. I can proudly say that Croatia's accession to Euro, Schengen, and the European Stability Mechanism is our joint achievement. Thank you also, Ursula, for that. Dear friends, the times that we live in are really challenging. The tectonic changes in the global security architecture, the waging Russian aggression against Ukraine has completely altered our view on defense and on security. We need to continue and be able to sustain support to Ukraine, and I particularly greet Petro and Yulia and Vladimir, who are friends in our political sister parties in Ukraine. We will continue to extend our solidarity to support them politically, economically, financially, in humanitarian way, but also militarily. Croatia has done that, and we shall continue to do it until Ukraine prevails. I would like to congratulate Petteri and Ulf on historic decision for the political culture and the system of Finland and Sweden. The magnitude of tectonic security changes in Europe is best viewed if we see that these two countries have abandoned the policy of neutrality and decided to join the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. I warmly welcome our new allies, which will contribute to our security, which will contribute also to Europe's security. And therefore, this enlargement is extremely important for our future and for also a political message of deterrence and the signal that the European countries will take care of its own borders. In that respect, we are all faced with the threats of illegal migration. Illegal migration has been the biggest problem that Europe has faced in 2015 and 16. In many of our countries, in many of our societies, it has completely changed the political narratives. It has given stamina to the political parties on the sides of the political spectrum, especially the far sides of the political spectrum, and it has impacted the strength of our own sister parties. In this respect, we need to show firmness. We need to show that we can control the external borders of the European Union, the Schengen borders, and not allow that the smugglers continue to profit on the tragic situations of many people from other continents. We need to preserve our way of life, our societies, and be very diligent and selective in controlling the migratory flows to the European Union. Dear friends, I want to say a few points about three friendly countries that I really care about. The first one is Romania, that is striving to join the Schengen area. We were in that process for a couple of years together. I would like to say that Croatia will strongly support you. We feel that you will continue to fulfill and strengthen the criteria, and that the moment will come as soon as possible to pass this political decision. I want to show the same type of support to Bulgaria, which is doing the same efforts regarding the Schengen area, but also we will extend you all of our experience and know-how in joining the Eurozone and thus strengthening your economy and the security of your borders. We will be with you, and we want to help Maria, who will soon become the Prime Minister, to be the leader in that process. And finally, I would like to ask all of us, and especially the leaders and the heads of state and government, while we are preparing for the European Council, which will take place in 2 weeks in Brussels on the 21st and the 22nd of March, that we finally make the courageous step forward and decide on the opening of the accession negotiations with Bosnia and Herzegovina. I would like to thank Borjana Krišto, the HDZ President of the Council of Ministers, for incredible efforts you have done since December. We need to create the atmosphere, and I count on you, Ursula, that we shall see a positive report coming from the Commission next week, and then that we can confidently say, yes, now it's finally the moment that Bosnia and Herzegovina joins the European integration, and that we pass the decision to open these negotiations. Borjana, we are with you. Dragan, we are with you. Ursula appreciates you, and thank you for all the reforms you have done. This is crucial for your stability and your reform process, and we want to be the ones who will be your fervent, strong, and sincere advocate and friend. Dear friends, Croatia will, before the European elections, go to the national elections. This is the moment that we, for the third time, ask our citizens to renew their confidence in our program, in our values and our achievements. I can guarantee you that we shall see each other at the next Congress during the third mandate of my government. Thank you very much, and let's win the elections in June. All the best.
We will now hear from Donald Tusk, the Prime Minister of Poland.
Dear friends, presidents, prime ministers, when I was handing over the reins of European People's Party to Manfred in Rotterdam, I told you that I was returning to the Polish politics to fight for the restoration of the fundamental values in my motherland, for the rule of law, for human rights, for the European unity, and for integrity in the public and economic life. And I won. We won, in fact. And thank you very much. Thank you very much for your support. I am really grateful that so many of you believed that I was able to do it. Not everyone, maybe, but almost. The battle against authoritarian trends, corruption, and lies is taking place on many fronts. And its most dramatic illustration is, of course, the Ukrainian-Russian front. But the responsibility for the fate of the Western civilization, based on the freedom and respect for each and every individual, lies with each and every one of us in every place. The times of blissful calm are over. The post-war epoch is gone. We are living in new times, in a pre-war epoch. In fact, for some of our brothers, it is no longer even a pre-war time. It is a full-scale war in its most cruel form. It is not our fault that our daily vocabulary includes, once again, such words as fighting, bombings, rocket attacks, genocide. Europe wanted to live and develop itself in a post-war world. But today, we must say clearly that we are faced with a simple choice. Either we undertake the fight to defend our borders, our territory, our principles, and, as a consequence, our citizens and future generations, or we will fall. There is no objective reason to capitulate before evil. The potential of Europe, economic, financial, demographic, moral, is greater than the potential of those who attack us. It is crucial today that Europe believes in its strength. Also when it comes to the context of our defense capacity. We cannot live under illusions. No one will take our place in this fight for our safety and for our future. We ourselves are the best guarantors of our safety and of our unity. As you well know, the only person you can count on is yourself. Europeans will be united when they see with all clarity that the Union is really our Europe, a safe and good home for the people. As our manifesto says. Today, this is exactly the signal that our farmers and food producers are waiting for impatiently. They also want a Europe that protects them and understands their fears. 10 years ago, I appealed to the European leaders to support Ukraine unconditionally. I appealed to the leaders to establish an European energy union to break the Russian domination when it comes to gas and oil. When the migration crisis started to grow, I was asking you for solidarity in our cooperation for the common protection of our external borders. And today, I am appealing to you for food security on our continent. This is one of the conditions to be safe and secure in all aspects. And I know that with leaders like you, like our presidents and prime ministers, with leaders like Ursula and Roberta, we can cope with this challenge as well. Thank you. All the best.
And to conclude the speeches of EPP EU heads of state, our next speaker will be Kyriakos Mitsotakis, the Prime Minister of Greece.
Well, dear Manfred, dear Ursula, dear Roberta, dear colleagues at the European Council, ladies and gentlemen, I cannot tell you, dear Donald, how happy I am to be able to address this Congress after your speech. Congratulations and welcome back. And as many of the previous speakers have said, we are indeed gathered today in this most historic of European capitals, ahead of a key battle, a battle that will indeed shape Europe's future, our future. And I would like, in my brief intervention, to stress 3 points. First of all, we as the EPP should be really, really proud of what we have achieved over the past 5 years. It was not a given. It took a lot of effort to bring Europe to where it is today. And we, as the EPP, have been at the forefront of all these efforts to prepare our European Union for the new reality in which we find ourselves. And I want to personally congratulate her in her success and for her steadfast leadership in times of unprecedented global challenges. A pandemic that shook the entire planet, a brutal and illegal war of aggression at the heart of Europe, an energy crisis that threatened to destabilize our economies. And our challenges remain grave, but we should be proud because our reaction was effective. We dealt with the pandemic in unity and solidarity. As Andrei said, we worked together to make the EU Recovery and Resilience Facility a reality for countries such as Greece, such as Croatia. This is an historic agreement, and its funds, I can assure you, are put to very good use in driving the digital transition, in creating new jobs, in strengthening social cohesion, in accelerating economic growth, in facilitating the green transition. And of course, in Europe's darkest hour, when war returned to our continent, we showed our determination and our steadfast support to Ukraine with an unprecedented, I dare to say maybe unexpected for some of our enemies, display of unity. And never before has Europe shown such a response, imposing widespread sanctions on Russia, continuing to support Ukraine militarily and financially, and sending a very clear message that no violation of international law, territorial integrity, or change of borders by force can ever be accepted by our European family. And I was in Odessa yesterday with President Zelensky when a Russian ballistic missile hit the port during our visit to the facility. And I think we all have a message for the Kremlin. We shall not be intimidated. We will continue to support Ukraine and its brave people for as long as it takes. And of course, we remain completely united in our resolve to do so. And in this discussion about the defense autonomy of Europe, Greece, my country, has an important role to play. We are, already one of the largest per capita contributors to NATO. And we encourage all the other countries to step up to the plate and at least meet the minimum NATO requirements of 2% of defense spending as a percentage of GDP. The second point I would like to make is why the story of Greece's transformation is indeed relevant to the great challenges that we are facing at the European level. The country I was called upon to govern when I was first elected back in 2019 was, and rightly so maybe, viewed by many as the sick man of Europe. And today, Greece finds itself in a very different place. And thank you, Ursula, for your kind words about the significant progress that Greece has made over the past 5 years. It has defeated, and this is important for our common European project, it has defeated the empty promises of populists not once, but twice. It continues to stand at the very core of Europe, and it has been a positive surprise of the Eurozone. We have been able to steer our economy towards sustainable growth while maintaining fiscal responsibility. And who would have believed, indeed, that in a little bit more than 4 years, Greece could go from where it was to where it is today, our credit ratings restored, investment at record levels, lauded by the Economist as the country of the year. But I can tell you, we would not have been able to achieve all this without the significant European assistance. And this is the best possible proof that this project that we embarked upon in Greece, reforms that focus on the market economy while retaining the obligation of the state to intervene when there are market failures, domestic liberal policies, but also effectively driving a policy of responsible patriotism. These are policies that indeed work. And this brings me to my third point, the challenges ahead, our priorities going forward. And I would urge all of you, all of us indeed, to carefully read the manifesto that Manfred and his team has put together, because I think it lays out very, very clearly the big priorities for the next day and why it is so important that the European People's Party remains the gravitational constant, this physical constant of the EU, the group that can boost European competitiveness, create growth and jobs, and support a geopolitical Europe. We've spoken a lot about the need to focus on strategic economy. We focused a lot on the need to strengthen European competitiveness. I listened carefully to Karl Nehammer's speech about the need to make our products more competitive on international markets. And these are indeed the challenges that the next Commission, the next European Parliament will be called upon to address. And we need to make sure that nothing happens in Europe without the active participation of our political family, the EPP. That is why it is important for the EPP to be again the dominant force in the next European Parliament. And I'm sure that with all your assistance, we'll be able to achieve that goal. Thank you very much.
Agapite Proedre, Mr. Prime Minister, just to add, if I may, how extra happy and delighted we are, all of us, for you being here today. It is my honor to introduce the President of the European Parliament, Roberta Metsola.
Thank you. Before starting, let me say thank you to Manfred for your commitment in difficult times to Europe and towards our political family. Thank you to Ursula for your leadership and friendship. Mulțumesc, dear Klaus Johannes, and to all the Romanian colleagues for your work in organizing this Congress. Thank you to all the members of the European Parliament here. Dear friends, they say that Bucharest is a city where tradition and modernity collide in harmony. Where better to reaffirm our political beliefs, to reinforce the constructive pro-European forces, to reconstruct a path forward for all Europeans. We have managed a pandemic, wars, an energy transition, inflation, hybrid threats, and cyber warfare, all framed within an ongoing digital revolution, climate and migration challenges, natural disasters, and geopolitical shifts. Throughout all these challenges, we remained steadfast. We remained brave. And above all, we remained true to ourselves, to our values, to our principles. It is within them that we found the answers that made people's lives a little bit safer, a little bit more secure, a little bit more prosperous, a little bit more equal. This does not happen by coincidence. It happened because we were able to take the difficult decisions to ensure vaccines and ventilators, to create jobs, to support families and industry, to champion enterprise and match rhetoric with action. When the world changed on February 24 of 2 years ago, we stood up. We understood that the Kremlin's tanks threatened not only Ukraine, but everything that we have held dear, everything that we inherited. We did not turn away, and we will not turn away. Europe delivered. Thanks to Ursula, thanks to Manfred, to all the MEPs who work day in, day out. In the European Parliament, we know we are stronger when constructive pro-European forces hold. Stronger when we are able to reform. Stronger because of the challenges that we faced. And while we are proud of our successes, and we should be, we must also be honest about where we could have done better, where we left people behind, and where red tape has pushed people away, about where we have gone too far, about where we have gone not far enough. We have been the most influential global actor in the fight against climate change. We are embracing the need for change, and that is critical. But we also know that this transition must happen at a pace that is sustainable, not slower, not faster. We know that our farmers must be part of the equation. Our industry must be part of the equation. Our young people, so many of you here, must be part of the equation. A friend put it this way: there is an invisible line that people could be pushed beyond. People must have confidence in the process. They must have access to tools that allow them to make the shift, and they must be able to afford it. Otherwise, it will not succeed. And worse, if misunderstood, it risks driving more people into political disenfranchisement. That is why we must listen more, why we must become better able to cushion the economic, social, and political impact of decisions. Here in Romania, the impact of non-Schengen is another example of the consequences of all three. Why opening air and sea borders is so important, and why full Schengen needs to follow. The same is true for Bulgaria. We must have the answers, not by copying others, but by being able to show unashamedly that we can provide the right frameworks that make difference in people's lives. We don't need Europe to reinvent the wheel. We want Europe to add value where it should. We see strength, not weakness in our differences. We cherish our traditions, our languages and cultures. Neither do we want to destroy what we have constructed. Europeans are builders, they are innovators, they are inventors. And we find solutions in this sense of pragmatism, of compromise, of leadership that must define our legacy. That is what it means to be part of this family. That is Europe's way. And we need to stop apologizing for it. That is how we counter the false narrative of the populists and the extremists who offer no solutions. We don't ignore them, we push back. That's how we win. Dear colleagues, I am part of the generation who joined Europe 20 years ago this year. We know no new and no old Europe. We are the generation who believe. And we know that we are at the dawn of a new European age. We just need the courage to embrace it. We can have a new European age of jobs, trade and growth, with ambition and a sense of purpose that boosts competitiveness, that gives our industries the chance to lead, where we bolster the resilience of our supply chains and conclude trade agreements, where we climb to the top together and not race to the bottom alone. A new European age of sustainability, where our clean growth strategy is ambitious but human-centric and provides real incentives and safety nets. A new European age for agriculture, where we are able to support our farmers, as so many colleagues said today, feed ourselves and save our planet. That is strategic autonomy. A new European age for tech, where we embrace the hope of digitalization and AI, but where we are wary of pseudo-progress that compromises our values. A new European age of security and autonomy, with a real security union, one that complements existing defense architecture. A new European age that tackles migration, where we are fair with those in need of protection, firm with those not eligible, and tough on traffickers, where borders are secure and no state is left alone. That is our way. A new European age of equality, of opportunity, of youth, where women are not targeted for being women, where journalists are free to do their job, where people can live how they wish to live, where corruption is fought, where the rule of law is protected, where young people can reach their potential. Dear friends, this is a new age for Europe's place in the world, one where we are able to stand tall, stand firm, and lead, where our democracy is the answer to those autocrats who see the existence of our union as a threat. An autonomous Europe that supports Ukraine and Moldova on their paths to EU membership, that stands with democratic Belarus, that recognizes what is at stake, because ours is a Europe that stands for humanity. It is the same philosophy that drives our reaction to the situation in the Middle East. Our hearts must be big enough for all the victims, and our minds must have the capacity to find the political will to break the cycle of history, to find a peace that has eluded generations. And here Europe has a great role to play. What we do in the next months will define the next European generations. And the responsibility is on us to lead. And it starts with convincing people to go out and vote in the European elections. None of this will be easy. We will be called upon to lead when it is hard. We will face impossible choices, but it is in that moment that value-based leadership is needed the most. That is where we will find the answers, and that is when our people will find us ready. Thank you for your support. Thank you. Long live Europe.
Thank you, Madam President. Now it is my honor to welcome the President of Romania, Klaus Iohannis. I want to take this opportunity, as I welcome him on the floor, to thank him so very much for the warm hospitality we have received here in Romania. Without that, this Congress would not have been possible. Mr. President.
Thank you so much. Domnule președinte al Partidului Popular European, Manfred Weber, doamnă președinte al Comisiei Europene, Ursula von der Leyen, doamnă președinte al Parlamentului European, Roberta Metsola, domnule președinte al Partidului Național Liberal, Nicolae Ciucă, doamnelor și domnilor președinți și prim-ministri, excelențe, distinși delegați, dragi prieteni europeni, bine ați venit la București! Mă bucur să fim împreună din nou și să văd că transmiteți cu toții optimism, hotărâre, preocupare pentru viitor și implicare. De asta avem nevoie, pentru ca, uniți și solidari, să conturăm proiecte cu care să câștigăm alegerile pentru Parlamentul European, răspunzând astfel așteptărilor legitime ale cetățenilor noștri. Partidul Popular European rămâne cea mai importantă forță politică în Europa și sunt convins că acest congres va revalida valorile noastre democratice care pun în centru libertatea, statul de drept și demnitatea umană. Totodată, sunt sigur că vom găsi soluții concrete pentru a ne proteja cetățenii împotriva diverselor crize care nu ne-au ocolit deloc în ultimii ani, fie că vorbim de pericolele aduse de un război brutal care se desfășoară chiar la granițele României, fie că ne referim la necesitatea de a rămâne competitiv economic, astfel încât nivelul de trai al oamenilor să se îmbunătățească semnificativ. Distinguished guests, the international context is complicated, complex, and unstable. We are facing the worst state of affairs since World War II. Just a few hundred kilometers away, our neighbors are giving their lives to protect their families and defend their country from invaders who commit unimaginable atrocities. Ukrainians are in the trenches and they depend on our help. We, the Europeans, must not get tired in our effort to stand by their side and offer all the support they need. For us, it is not just about the sovereignty of a nation, but about the lives of people who are forced to fight in a conflict they did not start. At the same time, we have the responsibility to reassure our citizens that they are protected, because only in a climate of stability and security can our economies develop, thrive, and our people lead a better life. Enlargement remains one of the most successful European Union policies, a geostrategic investment in peace, security, stability, and prosperity for all EU member states and partners engaged on an EU path alike. Its transformative power and its ability to rally countries and peoples around the European Union value, stability and prosperity for all EU member states and partners engaged on an EU path alike. Its transformative power and its ability to rally countries and peoples around the European Union values and principles to the benefit of all can never be underestimated. The Republic of Moldova, Ukraine, and Georgia are an integral part of the European Union, and their future lies within the European Union. So does the future of the Western Balkans. Our partners have made incredible progress. The citizens of these countries believe in the European Union and wish to be part of the European family. Therefore, we should. Europe is a continent of peace. We must firmly state this and remind our people that we all benefit from the greatest security guarantees in our history, and that the complementarity between the European Union and NATO is pragmatic, realistic, and ensures the security of our nations. The European Union and NATO have not been and are not in a competition. This complex context in which we find ourselves, however, brings an additional political risk: the crisis of confidence in the European institution, which is also caused by the growing distance between the political class and the European citizens. Let's reconnect to our people, because they are the ones who give legitimacy to the political act. Let's listen to them carefully. Let's be sure that before coming up with electoral projects, we know what the real concerns of our citizens are. To this end, the European political class must show maturity. The most effective instrument of political consultancy is paying attention to the people's emotions and expectations. Young people especially want to feel the political class and the European Union closer to them. They want to be heard and supported. We are the ones who have to find the most appropriate way to win their trust, because we need their enthusiasm and creativity, and they need care. Ladies and gentlemen, out of all the challenges we are facing today, one stands out in particular for the toxic potential it can have on the very foundation of the European project. I'm referring, of course, to extremism in all its forms, from rotten facade nationalism to the revisionist tendencies that, unfortunately, manifest themselves more and more virulently on our continent. After all, what is the European Union? 27 states that have voluntarily and out of belief adhered to the same set of principles. We share the same values, and we want to protect the level of well-being we have achieved due to the European project. The European Union is attractive precisely because its core values allow and facilitate a high-quality life. And it is exactly this particular reason that there are some who want this project to fail, because it offers what autocracies and other non-democratic systems deny their citizens: freedom of movement, free trade, protection of fundamental rights, justice, and the rule of law. The campaign for the European Parliament is approaching fast. People will be bombarded with all kinds of offers and promises. Many of you here will be running for a European Parliament mandate, and you will have to engage debates with Eurosceptics and other dissatisfied people who challenge our European project. You can ask them directly, what is your alternative to a project that has brought over 50 years of peace and prosperity? You will immediately see how their entire argumentative framework falls apart, because the alternative presented by these very vocal noisemakers is a grim one of national ressentiments and selfishness, one that caused humanitarian disasters, conflicts, and European fratricide wars. I urge you to use the campaign for the upcoming European elections as an opportunity to revive liberalism in the face of autocracies that restrict basic human rights. Better communication of the benefits of the European Union's membership is essential for countering misinformation and manipulation. We must make sure that our citizens are aware of the undeniable benefits that come from being part of this remarkable project. The European Union has replaced fear and hostility with collaboration and mutual respect. Today, political families inspired by democratic liberal values are called upon to strengthen these sentiments. The European People's Party is the main driving force capable of triggering all these positive energies. I'm glad to be here with people who, I know for a fact, are not lacking the courage, competence, experience, and responsibility to carry out the necessary changes in order to revitalize the most important political and social project that we Europeans have built and continue to build every day. The noise made by left or right-wing populists can be covered by active participation and effective communication following the principle of unity in diversity, without ever losing sight of the main objective, which is the safety and well-being of our citizens. We are all part of the same big European family, yet this doesn't mean that we are giving up our national identity. We are united in supporting the same values and principles, but diverse in our cultural heritage, traditions, and history. And exactly this unity in diversity is what makes the European project truly unique. Dear friends, Our unity and collective mobilization are the key to move the European project forward. We must be proactive in sustaining our values and common objectives, in involving and inspiring our citizens to be part of this joint effort for a safer and more prosperous future. This is why promoting a high turnout during the voting process is vital for ensuring that the voice of each and every citizen matters when it comes to making the European decision-making process. We have, therefore, a moment with a profound civic significance and relevance, because we all want, don't we, that our future and the future of Europe to be decided by the will of the electorate, not by his absence. At the same time, the European Union of tomorrow will look the way we will shape it. Our defense and security, the safety of the European business environment, investments, culture, education, health, all these are in our decisional power, and Europe will be what we will make out of it. Relevant political activity never stops at public discourse, but involves initiative, being among people, and identifying solutions, real solutions to pressing problems. The next European Parliament and the next European Commission will have the chance to meet history and to relaunch policies in the service of the people. Liebe Ursula, dir wünsche ich viel Erfolg, gutes Gelingen und dazu eine gute Portion Glück. Unsere Unterstützung hast du allemal. Danke. Thank you.
Thank you, President Johannes. Now I call our President of the Voting Committee and Vice President Esther de Lange to please explain the process and announce the results for the EPP lead candidate for the presidency of the European Commission. President de Lange.
Thank you. So, I'll give you the numbers. The votes cast today were 499. Invalid and blank votes, 10. That means we had 489 valid votes, of which a very round number, 400 yes, 89 no, and that means that is elected resoundingly Ursula von der Leyen. Congratulations.
Dear delegates, I am honored to welcome our lead candidate for the presidency of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen.
Thank you, my friends. Thank you, my dear EPP. It's wonderful to be here and to have your trust, to have your support, and to feel your determination. We have now 90 days to go till election day. And we are united. We have a fantastic manifesto. We are united in the messaging. Now it's time to get out there and convince the people to win their hearts and to win their minds. And my dear friends, this is only possible if we are a great team. I know I can rely on you. I know I can rely on our fellow leaders. Thank you for the support. I would like to ask you, dear Manfred, because you are the most important here in supporting me in EPP, to come here to join me, and I would like to ask our fellow leaders to join me here on the stage. And come on, let's say, there we are. Let's go for 90 days. Let's win this election. Let's be the strongest party in these European elections.
So, dear colleagues, dear friends, dear delegates, at the end of this Congress, I want to thank those who worked hard for delivering such a great experience, such a great event. Let me first of all thank our host, and that is Nicolae Ciucă with the PNL in Bucharest. We feel at home. You did a great job. Thank you so much. And also to President Klaus Johannes. Thank you so much for welcoming us in Romania. And dear friends, the second thank you goes to those who worked hard, really day and night, for making this event, this Congress possible. I want to name Thanasis Pakolas, our Secretary General, with his whole team in the party. It was a great event. It was another level of our events. Thanks so much for doing so. Dear friends, we experienced what it means to be a family. We did our job. We defined our program, our programmatic road. We nominated a great lead candidate for the next upcoming European elections. That means we are ready for the competition, for the democratic competition in front of us. Let's go now back home to our citizens. Let's convince them for our idea for the future of Europe. Dear colleagues, this was the powerhouse of Europe, and this will be, in the next 5 years, the powerhouse of Europe. Thank you so much. I'm closing officially the Congress 2024. In the next 5 years, the powerhouse of Europe. Thank you so much. I'm closing officially the Congress 2024.